The fight to drive Islamic State out of the Iraqi city of Mosul appears to be stalling, despite initial optimism in the West about the operation. Also, an earthquake hits the Fukushima coast of eastern Japan, causing people to flee the area amid tsunami worries. Seismologists say it was an aftershock from the devastating quake, which led to a nuclear disaster in the region in 2011. Also, expose and then challenge their credibility. That's how to deal with individuals making appearances in the Russian media, according to one British think tank. Just after midday here in the Russian capital. From the team and myself, Yunan O'Neill, welcome to RT International this Tuesday afternoon. Our top story in Iraq. Local militias are fighting to cut supply routes leading into the city of Mosul, Islamic State's stronghold in the country. The US-backed operation to recapture the city, which started some 5 weeks ago, is still a long way from victory, contrary to what some were perhaps expecting by this stage.
From the beginning of the operation to liberate Mosul, a coalition of around 100,000 fighters backed by the U.S. were facing up to 5,000 ISIL militants holed up in the Iraqi city. Some expected a swift success.
ISIS is really about to receive a body blow.
So long-awaited assault.
A much-awaited battle to recapture Mosul has started.
If this progress continues, and momentum certainly does seem to be with the Iraqi forces right now, commanders believe that they will reach the urban areas of Mosul in perhaps just a few days or a few weeks.
Although U.S. officials never said the battle for Mosul was going to be quick, they repeatedly claimed that operations were ahead of schedule. U.S. officials have also been making plans for Mosul after ISIL is gone.
We can't just be focused on the military effort to clear ISIL. We also need to be thinking ahead strategically about how to stabilize this large city once ISIL has been cleared.
A month into the operation to liberate Mosul, a new reality seems to be setting in, that the battle for Mosul will be harder than many expected. Some predicted that many ISIL fighters, after months of warnings, would leave the city, but apparently not enough did. In the city of 1.5 million, fierce street battles began. Coalition forces have so far made incursions into the outskirts of East Mosul and appear to have stalled there.
Well, the mainstream media was just quoting Pentagon officials who said that once we get going, it's going to be quick. The reality is just the opposite. When you look at what is actually happening on the ground, it defies common sense to think that it's going to be a quick operation, particularly in a city of 1.2 million. Projection of a few weeks is actually going to go not only a month, but into many months, possibly even into next year, given the resistance that they're anticipating. The problem is, will there be sufficient intelligence to say whether a given target has civilians there as hostages? And I don't know that we have that kind of intelligence.
ISIL is targeting Iraqi security forces with sniper and mortar fire, rocket-propelled grenades and suicide car bombs. The terrorists have reportedly shot and hanged dozens of civilians this week alone. Civilians also got hit as Iraqi forces struggled to tell friend from foe in Mosul street battles.
All those people are trying to escape. From ISIL, from coalition airstrikes, from Iraqi military forces.
The UN says this has been the bloodiest week since the beginning of the Mosul operation.
There isn't sufficient trauma capacity at the field level to deal with the numbers of people being wounded. By sharpshooters and snipers and in crossfire, civilians are being targeted by ISIL.
Aid workers are bracing for many more civilian casualties as the campaign intensifies. With Mosul being the last major city that ISIL controls in Iraq, the international community is rooting for the Iraqi forces and the coalition to finally liberate the city. But the price of the liberation is growing by the day. In Washington, I'm Ganesh Chekyan, RT.
Indeed, even if the aim is achieved and ISIL is forced out, there'll be a long way to go for the Iraqi people until they can achieve a decent standard of living. Right now, we know every time aid parcels arrive, chaos breaks out among the desperate.
الارزاق قليله على اقتصاد العالم، العالم لما جوعانه ما تركض، العالم جوعانه، لما العالم جوعانه ما تسوي هذا الشيء، بس العالم جوعانه تعبانه العالم.